Hey, everybody, I'm Jane.
And I'm Sarah.
And you're listening to the Medium Curious podcast, the show that demonstrates that mediums can stand on a stage and do what, Sarah?
Demonstrate mediumship. And we have the perfect person to talk about that with today. We have on for the second time the most incredible Lauren Robertson. She is the author of The Medium and Manolos, and she is a teacher, a speaker, a medium, and
a healer, a mama.
So incredible. We love her so much.
Yes. And so will you. Ready?
Let's do
Here
it.
we go.
Hi, Lauren. Welcome back. We're so glad to have you on a second time. For those of you who aren't familiar with Lauren Robertson, do you want to introduce yourself, Lauren?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me. I am an evidential medium. That's been my career since I was 16 years old. I'm very passionate about coaching and teaching other mediums. And I'm the author of The Medium and Manolos, published by Hay House.
And it's so good. It's
so
such
good.
a good book.
Thank you.
We talked about this the last time you were on, and I mean, we can't say it enough, but it was one of my very first mediumship books, and I love it so much. But we're not here to talk about that today.
Well, I mean, but we're going to for one more sec because Lauren, we were just talking about how I'm freezing cold in Utah and I just moved here from Hawaii and only like 2 boxes of books made it, which is crazy because we had 1,000 in Hawaii and your book is one of them. I want you to know. So that's how.
Oh, thank you. That is a great honor.
Yeah, no, it's super true. It's just an important tome.
And the last time we had you on, you were pregnant with your second baby. How's it going?
That's right. Oh, it's going great. I mean, it's not for the faint-hearted motherhood. It is a lot of work, especially when you have hardly any help and you're sleep deprived. But my children are the sweetest, most gorgeous, funniest little beings ever. So every day is just a joy. Yeah, so my daughter is almost 3 and my son is 15 months and he is almost walking. And he's just started, his speech has just exploded in the last week. So he knows the words of everything. It turns out he was just keeping all that to himself. So yes, it's going well. I'm managing to get back to work, which is really good. You know, having time with the children and time to be with spirit, do some mediumship, write, you know, serve in that capacity as well. So it's nice, you know, 15 months into motherhood to be getting some of that balance back for sure.
That's amazing. I mean, okay, I know how hard it is, especially with like 3-year-old and a 15-month-old. I know that age so well. And that's a crazy age. It's like
the fact that you're doing anything at all, much less getting back to work, is a miracle. Like the fact that you showered is so impressive. Much less.
I must say, my husband is very good. He's very helpful. He's a very hands-on dad, and you know the fact that he works from home is great because he's always here. And if I do need to say to him, you know, can you watch the kids for 20 minutes while I grab a shower and get dressed or something, he is very good. So yes, he makes it possible. He has them right now. He's putting them to bed right now while we have this conversation. So
sweet.
Props to Corbin, my husband, if you're listening to this.
Thank you, Corbin. We appreciate you. We appreciate all the daddas out there.
Definitely.
Well, you're coming back with a bang, man. You have so much happening. And I know we've been talking about it here on the podcast for the last month or so. But can you tell us a little bit about your course and how that's going to bring all of us intermediate mediums into brilliance?
Oh, sure. Easy. No worries. So I've got a course coming out called Platform Perfection. It launches in January and it will be taught live by me. And it's for mediums who either want to begin working with audiences or who already are working with audiences, but they want to take it to the next level. You know, they want to expand their reach, be working with bigger rooms, deepening that evidence, really figuring out how to incorporate speaking and public demonstrations into their career. And the course really combines my two great passions of mediumship and public speaking.
Mm.
And it's going to be in 3 parts. So I'm going to be teaching mediumship skills when working with audiences specifically. I'm also going to be teaching speaking skills and also some business skills as well, because when we get to that stage where we're working with audiences, we're working with the public, we do need to start having a bit of a entrepreneurial mindset about it. And so I thought that was an important part to add to the course as well. So we're going to be culminating after 9 weeks of coaching in a live public dem on Zoom. So the students are going to be given an address, which is a talk that you give before a demonstration, and going to be working with an audience that I select. So they're strangers, you won't have met them before, and they are going to be your audience. And we're going to have, let's say, shall we say, like graduation party, holiday party. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be a great time. Yeah, so that's platform perfection.
I can't
Well,
wait. We're
I know.
coming.
Me too.
We're both so excited.
We have a couple other dear friend mediums who have joined as well. So, yeah, any other mediums out there, go sign up. It sounds amazing.
It's going to be great. It's
Can
going
you
to
tell
push you to your limit, though. That's what I will say is, public speaking in and of itself is most people's idea of a worst nightmare.
Yeah.
And add that to the fact that with mediumship, you can't prepare.
Zero
You
control.
cannot. I mean,
Yeah.
you can prepare your energy and you can prepare your address. But when it comes to the spontaneity of the message and being available for spirit, sometimes you have to get up in that platform in front of 100 people and you don't know what's going to come out your mouth until you open your mouth to speak. And so a big part of it is training mediums how to be in that situation.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Can you tell us a little bit about that preparation, preparing yourself, how to get in the right state of mind to be in that situation?
Yeah, so, people are not going to like this answer that much, but the science is there, the evidence is there. It really is exposure. It's just feeling that feeling of nervousness, terror, anxiety, and, thinking, what am I doing? And wanting to run away and puke somewhere, all those feelings, and just doing it anyway, just still doing it, because then the next time you do it, it won't be as bad. It won't be so scary. It's like going on a roller coaster. You stand in the queue to go on a roller coaster and you feel nervous and apprehensive and anxious. And then you step off the roller coaster and you're exhilarated and you realize it was all fine and you want to go on it again. It's exactly like that. So the number one thing I can recommend is exposure. You just need to be doing enough public mediumship with enough diverse audiences, different sizes of audiences and different contexts. And that's really it. I mean, the second thing that you can do is simply to reframe the experience of nervousness or anxiety, because when we feel anxious or nervous about something, what we actually really feel is excited. We're excited about it. We care. We want to do a good job. We're there to serve spirit. We want to give that evidence that really helps somebody. And where that excitement turns into anxiety is when we put the pressure on ourselves, when we start to worry about how we're going to look or if we're going to mess it up or what the consequences of that might be socially, for example, or to our self-esteem. And so it's really working on taking that sting of pressure out of the experience and then reframing what's left into excitement and enthusiasm.
Right.
You ready, Jane?
Just like that.
Easy.
Yeah.
You've got this.
Yeah, I mean, I actually love public speaking. I'm a weirdo. But that lack of control is very disconcerting to me. And you just have zero, and you're right, it's exhilarating. It's like, good luck to me. But luckily, I've done a few dems, nothing bigger than like a dozen. So getting
Well
into
done.
a big room will be fantabulous and very frightening. But I always say, I trust spirit, and I just have to like lean back so hard and go like to my spirit team, like, okay, I'll take the wheel because this human's freaking out, So that was like, that's the only way I made it through. And then I sort of feel like I wake up at the end. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, people say to me, "Oh, do you remember you did this demonstration and you told me this and that?" I'm like, "Did I? That's lovely." It wasn't really me that was there. I was kind of somewhere else.
Totally. I know you've done tons and tons of demonstrations. So before we go to the next question, tell us a little bit more about your experiences with this art and craft of public demonstrations.
Sure. So, I mean, they do differ. I guess the best way to talk about it is in the context of one to ones, because they do differ in comparison to one to ones. And that's probably what most listeners, most mediums will be able to sort of associate with. So, first of all, in terms of the form, when you are doing a one to one, you really have the opportunity to deep dive into one person's life,
Mm.
and you can be working on the mediumship level, you can be working on the psychic level, you can run over time if you want to, you can waffle a little bit, you
Yeah.
can circle back around, you can take questions,
Yeah.
but when you get up on the platform, oh no, there's none of that whatsoever, because it isn't just the one person whose opinion you have to contend with and who you
Mm.
want to be sort of delighted and uplifted. It might be 100 people in an audience in a dem that you want to uplift, and the messages really have to be evidential. They have to be snappy, quick. You need to get to the point really quickly. You need to be able to show evidence that hopefully the audience can participate in as well. So the form of it is quite different. Also, when you're in a one to one, a lot of the discussion that you have or the evidence can be quite emotional, it can be quite
Mhm.
personal.
Mm.
Whereas when you're in a demonstration, the ideal, in my opinion, is if you strive towards evidence that can be shared communally, that can be corroborated, that can be discussed between you all. So one thing that I always recommend, and I will be teaching this in the course, is try to get good at bringing objects through as evidence.
Mm.
Because the amount of times where if people come to see you in a demonstration, they may have put a photograph, an object, something in their bag or in their pocket in the hopes of receiving a message. And if you can give a dem where you describe an object that belonged to the person in spirit and that person pulls it out their bag, I mean, that is really a way that the whole audience can participate in the miracle. So
Yeah.
yeah, the form and also the function, I guess, of a public dem when compared to a one-to-one is quite different.
Yeah.
You want to ideally, in a public demonstration, be thinking about how you need to show up in order to lift the whole audience. You want to be able to think of them as ships on a tide, where you're there to make sure that everybody's lifted a bit, that the
Yeah.
sense of wonder and awe that the spirit world can provide touches everybody, even if they don't get a message. And
Mhm.
obviously, in a one to one, you don't have that same consideration.
So it just, I'm just like overwhelmed.
You got
It's
this,
okay, I
Sarah.
promise. I don't want to overwhelm you.
No,
You'll get
it's
there. It'll be fine.
also like it just is also so exciting. I'm thinking about like that whole audience of people that come and they're all really hoping that they get a
Mm.
reading. So how do you contend with that if you have 100 people? I mean, I've seen Jane in a room full of 12 people give a reading to every single person who's there, but you can't do
Mm.
that with 100 people. So how do you balance, only being able to bring through, I don't know, how many different people in spirit can you bring through within an hour, do you think?
Mm. 10 to
Yeah.
12.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I
so
was
if there's
thinking.
only like if you're only able to bring through a message for
10%.
10% of the audience, um what do you do to include, I know that pulling something out of the bag to include the whole audience, like what are other things that you do to make sure that the rest of the audience feels uplifted? I know you just spoke to that a little bit by giving those uplifting messages, but can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. So, first of all, it's really important to say that you need to put that idea of having to please everybody in the room out of your head altogether,
Mm.
Mm.
because if you go in there to any demonstration, even for 12 people, Jane's probably a bit much to be reading for every single person, to be honest.
It did take
If
three
there
and a
was
half
12,
hours.
yeah, oh my goodness. I mean, yes, no, I would be on my backside for a week after. So anyway, if you feel that it's your responsibility to go up there single-handedly and please all of these people, you are going to exhaust yourself so fast and you are not going to be able to sustain any stamina in your career as a demonstrating medium. The first thing that you need to learn is energy management. So when you are working with audiences, if you're up there thinking it's little old me trying to do this on my own, making all these people happy, that is a people pleasing mentality that we have to try and respectfully bring some healing to and reframe that and try to look at the situation differently. What is actually happening is you are not there to please anybody. You are there as a mouthpiece and a performer of the ideas and intentions of the spirit world. And if you think of yourself as truly a channel for the energy that's coming from spirit, and a channel actually from the energy that's coming from the audience as well, because they are a battery, they are an energy source, they are excited, they're sizzling with enthusiasm about being there, they really want their message, they're full of emotion. And so all of that can be harnessed and used so that you don't feel that you're up there trying to please everybody on your own. And it's actually when you get into that headspace of thinking, I'm the transmitter here. I'm just going to show up and see what happens with open hearted curiosity. And I understand that it's Spirit's responsibility to be there and bring through me what they want to say. And it's the audience's responsibility to give me their energy that I can use in order to make that happen. Then you stop seeing yourself as being somebody that needs to please everyone. And you actually just forget about that altogether because it isn't your responsibility. And what you can do to please everyone is so small compared to what spirit can do to please everyone through you. And they're not the same thing. And if you try to make it your responsibility and your fault, it will be smaller than it could be, and you'll be a lot more exhausted than you could be. But you should be able to step away from the platform feeling energized, feeling that as spirit gave the gift to the audience through you, some of that gift also got kind of shaved off and stuck with you as well. You know, that positive energy, that healing energy. You should be going away being like, yes, that was amazing. But not because you're amazing or you did anything, but because what happened through you was amazing. So it is a reframe into very much being in the presence of God and spirit and being a vessel for their work, and also seeing the audience as a source of that energy and that scintillation and that connection, that effervescence with each other.
Oh, I love that. I
Wow.
love also, like, you just called the audience like a battery. Like, you're
I just
getting
wrote that down.
charged up and
Yep.
juiced
They're
up from the
charged up.
excitement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then you get excited and then they get excited and then you get excited and it goes like that. And that's how the energy is sustained to the end of the demonstration. It can't be you alone. It can't be.
I'm curious, are there any favorite that you can remember? Because like I said, I don't remember much, but are there any favorite stories of recent or from the past of demonstrations that you want to share?
Sure. So I'm just getting back at it. As you mentioned, I've just had two babies. And so my most recent demonstration was actually at my local library. And my local library, no joke, they have helped me raise my kids. The women in this
Oh.
library have been so amazing with my children. And here, libraries are a huge thing. Everything's free. They're very well stocked. And they have loads of little events and things on, especially for kids. So I've been going there the whole time that my kids have been little, every single Thursday. And so I saw in the library that they had a poster up saying, if you have a book or something you could talk about that you educate on, you can volunteer to come and do a talk at the library. And so I put my name forward because I wanted to do that and give something back to them. And it was a really, really difficult talk to do. It was a really difficult demonstration to do. First of all, because I was right back at it. It was my first one since having my son. And second of all, because it was a very mixed crowd. The crowd that were there were not my fans. They were not my people. It was the library's fans and the library's people. There were a lot of men, a lot of skeptical men, a lot of crossed arms, and well, let's see what this is all about. And also the third reason it was difficult is because I was doing a demonstration and giving a talk with really no break in between. So usually if I'm doing a demonstration and talking about like the science of mediumship, it's a different part of your personality that does both of those things. So I usually need a bit of a break. But no, I did my demonstration and then went into sort of unpacking some of the most recent science that I'm interested in about mediumship. So that was really challenging. But what was so good and so beautiful about it is that the librarian who had booked me and had been in contact with me, she brought her entire family to the session. And I didn't know anybody that was there, but it turned out that her father had recently died. And he came through with bells and whistles, and also her mother's father, so her granddad as well. And it was an extremely emotional, extremely evidential reading where he was so excited to be back in touch with them. And I could feel how much they were all grieving and how much being able to bring that message through meant to them. And, you know, to me, it just reminded me, like, that's why it really matters that if you have the calling in your heart to do public dems of mediumship, that you listen to that calling and you do it. Because there is somebody out there who's waiting in the spirit world to speak through you, whose life can be changed if they're sitting in front of you in the audience because of a message that you're able to give. I don't want to say too much, but one thing that did happen is a baby had been born in the family since this gentleman passed. And the woman who gave birth to the baby was absolutely devastated that this man never got to meet the baby, and she was just not getting over it. And it was like she was ruminating on it. And the gentleman came through and mentioned the baby's date of birth, or full date of birth, as if to say, I've seen her be born. I was there at her birth. Wow. And so that really moved everybody. And sometimes the spirit world does things and I'm like, I didn't know I could do that.
That's incredible.
So
it was very special. It was very special. And, you know, any sort of feeling of, oh, there's some tension in the audience here, or people aren't really sure what to expect, you know, as you start really getting into the heart of the matter and why people are there and the alleviation of suffering and, you know, the feeling and the meaning that the people want to come through from the spirit world, what they're trying to get across, it really dissolves any sort of, you know, resistance or skepticism or animosity or anything like that. So it was very special to be able to give that librarian who had been so kind to me and the library that had been so good to my kids to be able to really bring something back to them. So it was a very fun experience and very challenging, and I just love that message that came through as well. It really is. It still amazes me, you know, 20 something years down the line, what the spirit world can do.
Oh,
truly it does.
So good. What? That's so amazing. That granddad, was it a grandfather? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I especially love that they were skeptics with their arms crossed. I mean, that must have been fun to watch their faces. I mean, yeah, it's so
in the front row, you know, they got the furrowed brow and the arms across the chest and all. Let's hear what this garbage is all about, you know. But one of the things you can do, like this is for all you mediums out there who are interested in this, just turn up and be yourself. Just be really vulnerable and call out the skeptics. Now, you're going to laugh when I tell you this. I first learned this from the movie 8 Mile.
Yes! That is so good. Yes.
So, spoiler alert, but in the movie 8 Mile, there's a bit where Eminem goes up on the stage and he's competing in a rap battle and he knows all the BS that his opponent is going to come out and say about him. And so he goes up and just raps all that stuff about himself. He's like, I know I'm a white guy. I know I'm trailer park trash. I know I'm this, I'm that. So he calls out all the criticisms that anyone could make to him so that when the time comes, the other guy guy has nothing to say and he chokes and Eminem wins the battle. And seriously, you should do that.
That's so
If there are
good.
skeptics in your audience, you should stand up. And this is what I did. I said, look, I know that there are going to be some people here, especially the front row. Yes, I can see you, who are non-believers, shall we say, who think that this is a load of nonsense, who, don't think that I can do this or think that I'm somehow committing some kind of fraud. Like, I accept that that might be your life story up till now, but I'm not here to prove anything to you, but I just want to show you what could or might be possible. And I promise you I'm here doing this from a genuine belief in the eternal spirit that's within us all and from a place of honesty. I haven't researched anybody in this audience. I have neither the time nor the financial resources to do so. So I just got up and literally, thank you, Eminem, called out all the stuff that they might say about me, so they had nothing to say. And that just brought their defences down.
Yeah.
And then that was partly why it was easier to work with them. So I definitely recommend, don't go up there with an ego or trying to protect any kind of truth. Actually, just get the shame out into the open and say, I know you're probably skeptical. I'd like to show you maybe a different way of thinking about this. And it's up to you what you want to make of that.
Oh, so brave, so gorgeous.
Gosh, and so perfectly worded. Maybe a different way to, I'm writing this down. I'm going to be editing this later. A different way to think about it. I love that. You weren't like, I'm going to prove it to you. Get ready. You were like, let me just offer this potential. Because of course a skeptic is going to be like, don't tell me what to think. Don't tell me what to do. So that's beautiful.
Yeah. And it goes back to the fact that we're not responsible for what other people think. We're not responsible for if other people have a good time or are pleased. We are just there to serve. And if you focus on what other people think and trying to change their mind or pleasing them or not pleasing them, then it's really a way of being a bit stuck in self, a bit stuck in, is myself okay? Is myself good enough? But when you get up to do a platform dem, you've got to actually transcend that and just be like, I'm here to serve. It's not up to me what comes through, and it's not up to me what you think either.
Yeah. Well, that's only going to undo 50 some years of programming, Lauren, but I'm ready. I'm for it. I mean, it's kind of goes back to our last conversation, which listeners got to hear over the summer when we played it again. That self-reflection and the work on self is really the basis of your genius and how you teach this craft is maybe just touch on that again if you don't mind, because you were starting to go there.
Sure. Yeah. I believe that the world of mediums is really divided into two camps. There's the ones that want to do the inner work, and there's the ones that absolutely do not want to do the inner work. And there can be great mediums who can give great evidence who haven't done the inner work. But my journey and a lot of people that I know, their mediumship really improves and it really unfolds when they deal with the things that are holding them down. The thoughts, the beliefs, the trauma, the past experiences, the guilt, the shame, the unresolved stuff, the broken relationships, the unhad opportunities, all these things that when you're a sensitive person, you take them into your heart and you make them a part of yourself when you really shouldn't.
Yeah.
And so, think of it, I always talk about it like a hot air balloon. If you're a hot air balloon and you want to ascend, you can't ascend if you have all these sandbags slung over the side. You just can't.
Totally.
And so we've got to start shedding some of these sandbags. And it's not easy work. And it's not, a lot of the time, it's not enjoyable work. But, my mediumship best improved when I dealt with stuff to do with my father. When I went through certain things that made me stop caring so much what other people thought about me, when I have become a mother and learned to deal with much more adult and mature subject matter without flinching or moving away or thinking that it's dark or, anything like that. And so there are definitely things we can look at within ourselves and bring kindness and healing and compassion to. First, we need to look at them though. We really need to look at them and we really need to examine them, and then we need to uproot them. And then we need to figure out what else we're going to replace those beliefs with, the low self-confidence or the shame or the belief that we have to make things right for other people and where that came from. We actually do have to be prepared to replace it with something. And people a lot of the time struggle with what that thing is going to be. And so that's one of the reasons why they struggle maybe to look at what do I need to address and let go of here. I think that people sometimes think looking at their weak spots is going to make their mediumship worse. It's going to make them more vulnerable, or it's going to make them unworthy for spirit, or it's going to make them distracted so that they can't do it. And I can't speak for everybody. That could be true for someone's journey. But all I've found is that if you look at your past difficulties with kindness and compassion towards yourself, and you ask the spirit world to help you take genuine steps to heal it, you will find that that healing reflects in your mediumship. So when you feel stronger, more whole, braver, more courageous in your own life, like in your own self, your mediumship's a reflective space where that, it becomes a reflection. You'll find that your mediumship becomes braver, more honest, more courageous, not defensive, not sort of worried about what people think about you. And through doing that work, it's only ever made my mediumship stronger. So that's the way I teach it, because to me, it's worked. That's the only reason, because it's worked.
Yeah.
But people don't always want to go there. People have asked, for refunds and stuff when they see the nature of how I approach this. The way I approach this is not let's practice reading flowers and let's practice color theory and auras and it's like, so your mother did what when you were 8 years old? And like, let's look at that. And so, yeah, people, it's Marmite. Do you guys know what Marmite is?
Yes.
Yeah. There's an expression in the UK, Marmite is a spread you put on toast, and people either think it's disgusting or amazing. It's made of yeast and it's kind of salty. And so the way I work is very much like Marmite. You either love it and you're like, I'm lapping this up, or you're like, that's disgusting, I need a refund.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not a lover
like
of
toast.
Marmite, but
Okay.
I am a lover of what you're teaching. I do really feel like the journey of mediumship, there's nothing else like it that will help you in your life's path if you're willing to open up to it. And the way you're talking about it is just such an eye opener. It's a real inspiration too for why everybody should be mediums.
If you're
Truly.
called.
If you're called, that's true.
Well,
Yeah.
we always kind of say that to our audience that, oh, y'all are mediums. And I think that's because if you're listening to Medium Curious, there's a part of you that's probably either a medium or a lover of such humans who have the courage to do this. But that's kind of a fun topic to run to for just a second, Lauren. Hi, if I remember correctly, in our last conversation, you said not everyone is a medium. Isn't that what you said?
Not everyone's a piano player. I just mean it in exactly the same way.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's fun because I want to be a piano player, but I am not. But I really want to be, but I am not. So I wonder if it's like that for some folk, like they're like, this is really something, but maybe, I guess I'm just curious if there is such a thing as a natural born medium or like, is it true that some people could just not do this even if they wanted to? Do you think that's true?
Yeah, I do think do I think it's true? Yes, I guess I do. I'm trying to think of, normal grounded examples, because that's the best way to think about it. I'm pretty sure there's people that wanted to fly fighter jets that couldn't because of their eyesight. I'm pretty sure there's people who, if my life depended on me doing some sort of trigonometry or algebra, I would be in the spirit world because it's not going to happen. So, I think that definitely people have limitations in their character, but it's actually very unusual for people to have a really strong desire in their heart and lack the capacity to make it happen. That is very unusual. And if that does happen to some, it's usually that they are going through grief or they are going through some other evolution of their self, that mediumship is a stepping stone on that path. I mean, people can still be philosophical about mediumship, scientific about mediumship, interested in reading in the subject, have a child who's, interested in mediumship. There are all other ways that people can have it around them in a valuable and meaningful way without them actually having to do it themselves. So, yeah, there's that part. And then there's whether or not they think they don't have it because they're looking for communion or communication from somebody specific that they're not getting. And so
Mhm.
it's whether the kind of disconnect is with them or whether it's with the person in the spirit world. So it's a complicated matter.
Yeah.
But I think every ability is on a spectrum. And I don't think that mediumship is any different. I mean, it does tend to be that people who are higher in openness, trait openness, are better mediums. They have just the openness of mind to let things besides their own identity in.
Yeah.
People who are higher in compassion tend to want to do the work. People who are, high in creativity tend to have an imaginative space that the spirit world can use as their palette. So
Mm.
there definitely are qualities that make it more possible. And if you're lower in those qualities, then for sure it might be harder. But that doesn't mean that mediumship still can't play a role in your life that's meaningful.
That's really cool. Thank you for that answer. I think it's something that we kind of grapple with as we've been on our tour. I'll speak for myself. I feel like I've
Hmm.
grappled with that. Like, our very first episode, we were like, are you a natural born medium or a surprise medium? And, because we both came online later in life, I perceive myself to be a surprise medium. And I certainly saw Sarah's look of surprise when she brought my dead ex boyfriend through for the first time. So, I think what you just described was really helpful. The spectrum of it, and also some of those traits that get dialed up or down. And also going back to what you just said about, like the openness trait or the honesty trait, like that isn't a priority to everyone, either of those things, which
Hmm.
those of us who are find mysterious. But anyway, it like you said, it sets you up. Like I've always joked that you could hypnotize me in 2 seconds. Like you could just take me and I would be a puppet on the stage. Like that's just who I am. I'm always like, I'm down. Like where are we going? So I think that was very helpful to hear your beautiful, grounded, and clear explanation of that kind of spectrum and where we all might sit on it. And also the work
Hmm.
that we're invited to do if we want to be exceptional, which you lay out really beautifully in your book.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's always latency there with a lot of gifts and talents, and sometimes we just pick it up in the right season of life. And a lot of the time with mediumship, it's kicked into gear by grief. A
Mm-hmm.
loss that first of all is unexpectedly brutal and
Mm-hmm.
difficult, like worse than imagined. But second of all, where there's a feeling of this love that I shared with this person does not seem to have stopped existing, and not just one way either. It seems that there's something coming back to me still from this person. And when you get that feeling in your heart, you can't deny it and no one can talk you out of it. When you
Yeah.
start getting, for example, the dreams, the signs, these experiences that we have where, like, oh, there is something meaningful still coming from this person somehow, even though their physical body is no longer here. And what else are you going to do but explore how that could be, and to try to make yourself a better receptacle for that love, and to try to undergo the transformation in your relationship? It's a damn sight better than saying bye forever. Just like,
Yeah.
oh, I know you're trying to get through to me, but nah, I'm not for that. Bye. you
Yeah.
know, you're going to want to be like, wow, here's something. And it's interesting your podcast is Medium Curious, because it is all about that curiosity. It's all about an experience that has that somatic quality that you just can't explain, but it feels miraculous. And then going on that journey with your loved ones in spirit to say, I'm not gone, I've just changed form. And we can still have a relationship of sorts if you will make yourself available for it. And that's all it takes to start being a medium.
Oh, I love that. It's so true. I find that to be so true because until there was a big loss in my life, I had no idea that mediumship really even existed. It wasn't even anything
Mm-hmm.
that I thought about. But then as soon as that loss happens, it brings up everything. It brings up all of those questions, like those big, huge life questions. And having mediumship available and then being able to explore it and do a deep dive into it, I feel it's one of the biggest gifts that I've been given in my lifetime for sure.
Yeah. And your loved ones in spirit will feel the same.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
imagine
true.
getting there and realizing I can still love you.
Yeah. Yes, the love is a continuation. Yeah. Hey, I had a question for you. It goes back to the business part of
Mm.
uh mediumship. I mean, so you you go to the trouble of putting together these big demonstrations, and it is an active service. However, like if you're doing that as a profession and you've dedicated your whole life to it, I know there's a lot of issues that people have about mediumship and money, and it's kind of a touchy subject to talk about. Can you address that at all for us?
Sure. I'm glad you brought that up because, first of all, I am so passionate about mediums being paid properly who are professionals, being respected as professionals, and I also believe they should be regulated as professionals as well. I liken it to a therapeutic modality.
Mm.
For most of us, I mean, with the exception of like ghost hunts and seances and certain things, there are other different contexts, but most of us are in a healing art where we are helping to transmute grief by giving this evidence and floating this idea that it isn't goodbye forever. And so I believe that mediums should be regulated and paid as professionals. And currently, we're not. Mediumship isn't yet really anywhere taken seriously enough for a regulatory body to spring up and say, here's what the scope of a rate should be. And here's what the scope of your work should be. And here's how, legally to exactly word this as a healing offering. And here's what kind of insurance should cover you. And so because of that, we just have a lot of mediums out there, some of whom are amazing and excellent and have given so much more in value than they've ever received in monetary value. And then we have kind of the other side of the coin where there's people out there charging different things and whatever, and maybe they're not what they claim to be. And so I really strongly believe in my heart that a genuine medium having a good relationship with money is a good thing.
Mhm.
A medium who is out there doing really good work that's helping people and is being paid well and is then using that money in alignment with spiritual ethics that they hold. Therefore, more money and more resources are being directed to, local food, charities in the community, conscientious buying, consumerism that has a conscience, all of this sort of thing. So I really wish that more mediums were more confident charging for their services and being the stewards and the executors, not just of the spirit world, but of money, which is another resource
Mm.
and form of power that is better in their hands than
Yeah.
certain other people's hands who are doing things with money. And so I really feel that I understand why mediums have difficulty with charging. And it has to do with, I believe, one thing is the guilt. So
Mm.
obviously people are coming who have already been through a loss, who have already suffered in some way, which is why they're coming for a reading. And so we might feel a little bit icky about charging them money to give something that speaks to that loss. And I do completely understand that. And that's for each medium to do their own work within themselves again, to reconcile the fact that there are industries related to death
Yeah.
and not all of them give value as much as a medium gives to a
Mhm.
person.
Yeah.
And so, there are ways to sort of reconcile and overcome that guilt. There is also no reason why a medium can't spend a month, for example, out of the year, which is something I like to do, doing things that are free. So my talk in the library was free. I've been seeing select clients one-to-one free of charge this month. you can do that and know that you are giving something back that's free. The reason I'm saying all this is because my experience has been that mediums are vulnerable to exploitation, and that where mediums worry that they are being accused of exploiting other people, it is actually the mediums themselves that are most often being exploited by unofficial spiritualist organizations that will have them be out of pocket for going to demonstrate to 4 people in an audience, to just being in a situation where people expect them to speak for free. And there's the undercurrent of, if you expect to be paid, then you're unspiritual. But what's actually happening is the medium is becoming more and more and more depleted, and literally has fewer and fewer and fewer resources for their own life, for their own children, for their own education. So it's a race to the bottom. And I just don't think that it's a good ecosystem for mediums. So I really believe that once a medium is beyond a certain level of proficiency, and especially once they want to start doing demonstrations, that they need to really start thinking in an entrepreneurial way and realizing that they are deserving of fair compensation for fair work and behaving as such. Because when you start demonstrating your mediumship, it's really, really easy to end up exploited and out of pocket. And I do talk from experience there, energetically exhausted and having paid people for the pleasure of going to speak places. And that really isn't right as a professional. So some of what we are going to talk about in the course is how to assess a good speaking opportunity from not such a good speaking opportunity, and when doing something for free is a good idea entrepreneurially, and when you need to be really careful that you're not setting yourself up for a situation where you're being exploited.
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
I think that is really important. I mean, I know for myself, I'm a trained classical musician, and I am a part of a musicians union, because without being a member of the union, there are many instances where we would, same thing, where we wouldn't be looked after, and we would be, giving our services for free after, decades of preparation and practice and education. So it really does make sense that mediums, that the training that you're providing with this, to think about that is really important. And can you imagine if there was a mediumship union?
I love it.
There
Let's
should
do
be.
it. I experienced
Yeah,
this.
let's do it. There should be.
Yeah, I experienced this directly with someone very, very close to me when I first came out as a healer and a medium. She was like, "Well, you're not going to charge, right? You're not going to charge. It's a gift from God." And I was like, "And it's my time." It is a gift from
Oh, the
God.
judgment.
It was heavy duty, and it was someone really important to me too. Not my husband, but another character in this, in the close proximity. And it was a very tricky one to walk over. But thankfully, you know, I don't know how, but I think what you just said was super helpful to everyone listening, because it's a big step to start to charge for this, and to your point, to reconcile it. So thank you for that. That's great.
It also, just as a final note on that, it also does have to do with like a self-esteem and a self-confidence piece, because there is a big overlap between being interested in mediumship and capable of doing it, and also being very, very sensitive and aware of other people's needs. Sometimes to the point where we don't count our own needs, and we're not thinking about the resources that we're not receiving to feed our children, because we're out there, giving freely. And just no one's life can survive on thin air, and no one can really become a better medium who's under resourced.
Yeah.
And so, it's the spirit world. Obviously, we don't want anybody extorting anybody, ridiculous prices, overcharging, under delivering. That is not good. But I believe there is a balance. The spirit world has led me to believe that there is a balance. They want a resourced, confident medium.
Yeah.
They want a medium who people are going to turn up and listen because they paid. I personally wouldn't go to a medium that didn't charge me an amount of money that I was sure meant that they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
That's going back to the idea of it being a profession and being regulated. It should be, there should be a fee where you think, oh, that's an investment. It should feel like that's an investment because it's deep work and it's important work if you're there to listen to it. And again, this goes into a whole thing about the context of certain readings. I did a lot of pubs, bars, ladies' nights, hen parties in my earlier years, and it really did not provide the kind of sacredness and the sanctity that would have given certain people that I read for over the years a much better experience if they had, now we're in a situation where to come for a reading with me is in the hundreds of pounds. And you come to my beautiful studio that is calm. It's a therapeutic room. It's calm. It's uplifting. You have my undivided attention and I have your undivided attention. And the energetic exchange of money is part of that process. It's part of kind of like making this sanctified boundary that we're both invested seriously in what we're doing here. And I think mediums need to have that confidence in the value of their work.
Amen.
Mic drop. Yeah. Speaking of mic drops, we are closing in on the end of the time that we have, sadly. Sarah, do you have one more question or one more thing, Lauren, you want to share? What do y'all think?
Yeah, close us out, Lauren. I can just listen to you talk 24/7. I'm excited that we're going to be listening to you more at your platform perfection class.
I know. I can't wait.
Okay, close this out. Let me see. So if you are interested in being a platform medium, there's a couple of things that I want to just share that might help you out. So first of all, when you get up on the platform, this might sound really cheesy and just obvious, but be yourself. Like, be yourself. Go up there as you. You don't have to perform as mediums. Mediumship isn't a performance. It's a sacred calling, and you get to turn up there as funny as you are, silly as you are, serious as you are, well researched as you are. It is a combination of you and the spirit world working together. So you don't have to worry about any expectations of how a medium ought to sound or the sorts of things they ought to say. Really turning up as you and being really comfortable and happy to do that and speaking to the audience on that level is what allows the spontaneity of the spirit world to arise. So in platform mediumship and in my course, it isn't about teaching you to be any idea of what somebody else thinks a medium ought to be. It's about helping you be more of you and taking that really special recipe for mediumship that only you have. Imagine it's a cake, right? A beautiful cake that only you can bake. And just, we're not changing the recipe. We're just slicing it up and giving it to a lot more people. And that's what Spirit wants, for you to be more of yourself and to grow in love and appreciation for yourself through your work on the platform and with audiences.
That's so beautiful. Yes, 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 and yes.
I'm glad you think so.
Yeah.
We will link your course in the show notes so that everybody can figure out how to sign up. And
we'll meet them there, and you too, Lauren.
Yeah.
I can't not wait.
Yeah, and there is a special offer for your listeners, I believe.
True that.
Listeners of Medium Curious podcast, I believe, are getting 10% off with the code MEDIUM at checkout.
Medium. Yep.
Yeah, medium.
Yay. Thanks for offering
I hope to see you. The course is almost full, by the way.
Okay.
It's almost full. I'm taking strictly 20 students this time, because obviously it's my maiden voyage teaching this course. It's my third course of the kind of steps that I have for teaching mediumship. It's the pro level. So yeah, I really want to use you guys, I guess you could say, to figure out what works and what delights you and what's really effective. So I'm limiting it to 20 just so everybody gets some really good one-to-one attention and I can really pay attention to how you guys are thriving and what you're learning.
So we are excited to be on the maiden voyage.
Yeah, it's going to be so good. So we are at 14 students already. So there are only 6 spots left and we start on the 6th of January, I believe. Yes, the 6th of January.
Awesome. Yeah, and we're recording this on December 5th, but this is going to come out next week. So there'll probably be even a few spots left, folks. So get in
I
All
can't wait to
right.
have you guys. It's going to be amazing. I'm so excited to work with you. It's going to be really, really good.
Genuinely cannot wait. Like, I'm like, holiday schmoliday, let's go. So thank you, Lauren. Again, it's such an honor and a pleasure to have you here, meet you, hear your brilliant wisdom. And just like I said, it's giving me a lot of sparkle for the new year to know I get to hang out with you and some of our listeners too.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lauren.
Thank you so much for having me, and happy holidays, everybody. Hopefully talk to you all soon.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. Very Soul is our sponsor for Medium Curious. Jane and I are both Very Soul mediums.
Oh, yes, we are. Verysoul.com, y'all. Inspired by spirit, guided by love, and brought to life by mediums. Medium Curious is made possible
by Jane Morgan Editing.
Sarah Rathke made the amazing music.
And you can help Medium Curious by downloading the episodes.
And the dogs under the desk in Utah are Kalea and Domino.
And Trixie in California.